Hello and welcome. You're watching UATV News with me, Ksenia Bugay. Let's start with the latest developments. Bilateral talks between the U.S. and Russia on security issues are possible in January. This was stated by the Assistant Secretary of State for Europe and Eurasia, Karen Donfried. Some of the Moscow's proposals will be discussed. It goes about the demands of the Russian Federation that NATO should refuse to expand to the east and not include Ukraine in the alliance. The date of the meeting will be agreed with Moscow. It will take place in parallel with the talks between Russia and NATO and with the participation of European allies. We are prepared to discuss those proposals that Russia put on the table. There are some things that we are prepared to work on, and that we do believe that there is merit in having a discussion. There are other things in those documents that the Russians know will be unacceptable. Karen Donfried, Assistant Secretary of State for European and Eurasian Affairs, in a comment to the Financial Times. The dialogue concerning Ukraine will not take place without Ukraine. Ukrainian ambassador to the United States, Oksana Markarova, told about this in an interview with one of the Ukrainian websites. The diplomat stressed that our country has a clear plan as to what it promotes in bilateral relations with the United States. The task of Ukraine is to defend our narratives and truths, the ambassador noted. The Charter is very clear about all our cooperation plan and support for democracy in the sphere of economic transformation and support. We are working in all these areas and within the security bloc. Together with the United States, we are working on, firstly, demotivating Russia, preventing its new aggressive actions. We are working to develop our capabilities now. This is a very important deterrent factor, and we are working through the Crimean platform and other instruments to return what has been stolen and stop the aggression that has already begun. Oksana Markarova, Ambassador of Ukraine to the United States. New sanctions against Russia. The U.S. authorities are considering further restrictions on exports to this country in the event of the invasion of Russian troops into the territory of Ukraine. This was reported by Reuters, citing a representative of Joe Biden's administration. The ban will affect the supply of smartphones to the Russian Federation, basic spare parts for aircraft and cars, as well as a wide range of industrial and consumer technologies in general. As the agency's interlocutor said, those measures may become unprecedented. Ukraine continues to strengthen sections of the border that require increased attention due to a possible Russian invasion. The works are being carried out in the Sumy region in the northeastern part of the country. Press Secretary of the Sumy Border Detachment, Roman Tkach, told details about the process.
The section of the state border with the Russian Federation within the Sumy region is more than 560 kilometers long. Since August, we began to equip engineering barriers in the form of anti-vehicle ditches in those areas. For this purpose, complex mechanized engineering groups have been created at the site. We are taking these measures to ensure national security and defense. Roman Tkach, Press Secretary of the Sumy Border Detachment.
A long-term detention for those accused of the MH17 plane crash had been demanded by the prosecutor's office in the Netherlands. The charges brought forward carry a maximum sentence of life imprisonment. The defendants in the case are three Russians: Igor Girkin, Sergei Dubinsky, and Oleg Pulatov, and a Ukrainian, Leonid Harchenko. A passenger Boeing 777 flew from Amsterdam to Kuala Lumpur and was shot down in the skies over Donbass on July 17, 2014. All 283 passengers and 15 crew members were killed. The prosecution believes that the plane was downed by the Buk anti-aircraft missile system. It belonged to the 53rd Anti-Aircraft Missile Brigade of the Air Defense of the Russian Armed Forces, which was stationed in Kursk. Iran continues to ignore the request of the Ukrainian side for international legal assistance as part of the investigation into the Ukraine International Airlines plane crash over Tehran. This was reported in the Office of the Prosecutor General. Ukraine has already sent 26 international inquiries to different countries. Besides, Tehran has not yet provided Ukrainian prosecutors with the opportunity to familiarize with the case materials. The plane crash itself occurred on January 8, 2020. The Ukrainian passenger aircraft was shot down by the Iranian military as a result of the hit of 2 missiles. The plane was completely destroyed. 176 people died. The Ministry of Digital Transformation of Ukraine is launching a new educational series. It consists of 8 episodes ranging in length from 6 to 10 minutes. They will be available on Diia Digital Education web portal. The project is aimed at creating conditions for equal access to public space for citizens with temporary or permanent limited mobility, people with disabilities, and people in wheelchairs. The mini-series Barrier-Free Literacy is based on different life situations and focuses on the implementation of inclusive approaches in the economy, education, and public services. The project was initiated by First Lady of Ukraine, Olena Zelenska.
It's for providing people with different types of disabilities with the opportunity to comfortably and fully use different gadgets and applications. The series contains 8 episodes, each from 6 to 10 minutes long. This is a common practice for series on the Action Digital Education platform. And after each series, after watching each episode, one will have to pass a mini test which confirms that one has mastered the information well.
New jobs for IT specialists. Ukraine is planning to actively develop this area, and they are preparing to launch the Diia City project. This is a special legal and tax regime for companies in this sector of economy. With this help, officials hope to increase investment in the IT industry. From the end of January, companies will be able to apply for residency in Diia City. This was announced by Minister of Digital Transformation Mikhailo Fedorov.
The Diia City opens up the opportunity to pay taxes to technology companies by 5 times less compared to the current system for companies operating in Ukraine, with the updated system of network operation. That is, it opens up opportunities for companies to invest in development and education, in the development of the IT sector, and thus Ukraine becomes a competitive jurisdiction for the whole world.
The number of COVID-19 diseases is reported to grow again. Over the past day, 6,363 new cases were fixed. Most of the infected are in Kyiv, Zaporizhia, and Volyn regions. The Minister of Health recalled that vaccination with an additional dose against coronavirus continues. 154 people have already received their third jab. Pneumonia, heart failure, and even diabetes. Flu can lead to such consequences. The Minister of Health urges Ukrainians to get vaccinated and not wait for the peak of the epidemic period. In order to simplify the access of citizens to seasonal flu vaccination, a pilot project, influenza vaccination in pharmacies, has been launched in Ukraine. Anyone can buy flu medicine at the pharmacy and get a jab. There are enough flu vaccines in Ukraine, the Center for Public Health said. More than 1 million doses of drugs from different manufacturers have been brought to our country. Medical workers received 30,000 doses free of charge, while more than 180,000 doses were purchased for budgetary funds for priority groups of the population.
Ризик захворіти на грип.
The risk of contracting the flu and having serious complications is quite high among the risk groups. More than 65,000 deaths are recorded throughout the world every year. Those are complicated cases related specifically to the flu. Therefore, we need vaccination during the entire epidemic season. Vaccines are available. We have already mentioned this. They entered Ukraine through different mechanisms. They are available for priority risk groups determined by the order. They are available for everyone who needs this vaccine.
Almost 2 million Ukrainians have already received 1,000 hryvnias. That is almost $37 for the full course of vaccination against coronavirus. However, not everyone is in a hurry to spend it on books, travel tickets, or going to the cinema or theaters. People are coming up with more and more schemes to cash out funds and spend them on other things. More details in the following report.
More than 5 million Ukrainians have already applied for 1,000 hryvnias for vaccination against coronavirus. In most cases, money is spent on books. This is reported by the Minister of Digital Transformation. People admit if there were no restrictions, spending would be different.
I spent it on books because this year I will take external independent examinations and it's rather a difficult thing to buy all these books. If there were no restrictions, I would rather spend it on groceries or restaurants. I haven't spent this money and I probably won't spend it. I have a lot of books. I don't go to the cinema while there is a pandemic.
In addition to books, 1,000 hryvnias can be spent on railway and air tickets in Ukraine, on visiting a cinema, theater or a museum. However, people manage to get around the rules. For example, in cinemas, food and alcohol is bought instead of tickets.
Sometimes there are cases when in some cinemas it is possible to buy something as an accompanying product, but, and this is also seen by the digital system, if they start to abuse it, it is blocked. Therefore, I should say this is not a problem.
Some recipients of the so-called COVID-19 funds have gone even further and offered to exchange digital money for cash, only in smaller amounts.
Selling a thousand is generally offered for 600 or even 450 hryvnias. However, some sellers say that they will be able to buy only train tickets or, for example, books instead of the buyer. Other restrictions are not made at all, and they are in the majority. Some even offer delivery services at their own expense.
Such offers have quickly spread across the internet. The cyber police and the National Bank quickly joined in to resolve the situation. They closely monitor all suspicious offers and payments.
Only 2 days have passed since the publication of such announcements. Now we will personally check, are there any offers on the internet or have they been already closed?
We watched through more than 10 websites with advertisements, searched in questionable Telegram chats and even on Google, but no offers to sell the so-called COVID-19 money were found. Very likely that the cyber police has managed to get the situation under control. Reported by Vlada Tsurkan and Vadim Kramer, UATV News.
An unusual lamp. It is not only performing its usual functions, but also tells when should one air the room. It was created by Serhiy Pivin, a student from the Diia City. The device can detect the level of carbon dioxide and shows when its concentration significantly exceeds the norm. Serhiy demonstrated his invention to our correspondents.
Serhiy Pivin had the idea to control air quality since school. He realized his old dream already at the university, creating a device that measures the concentration of carbon dioxide in the room.
There is a dust sensor, the sensors for temperature, humidity and pressure.
He worked on this invention for about a year, selecting the necessary sensors and controllers, so that the device can not only collect and process data, but also transfer it to mobile devices.
It has a built-in Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. With the help of it, we will be able to transfer information to the phone. We can transfer this data via Wi-Fi over the internet to a remote server, and in the future it will be able to transfer data to one's phone through the mobile application.
Serhiy called the device indoor solution and tested it in university classrooms. In order to control the air quality in the room using no additional devices, he installed the light indicators.
When the lamp on this device lights up in red, this means only one thing: the concentration of carbon dioxide in this room has significantly exceeded the norm and it needs to be aired.
Serhiy now demonstrates how the device works. He exhales directly onto the sensor.
This will be a stressful situation for sensor, which indicates that the CO2 level has risen from nothing.
In a couple of seconds, the green light of the lamp changes to red. They say in the engineering school, on the basis of which the inventor created a device for measuring air quality, that they have supported the students' initiative without hesitation.
It is being developed within another large project which is aimed at becoming a platform where the user can see information about air quality anywhere in the world, in any place.
This is a single copy of the device. Serhiy plans to finalize it, and after that it will be launched into mass production. Reported by Vadim Kramer and Natalia Husak, UATV News.
That was our final story. More updates on our official website, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter pages. Stay healthy and take care of yourselves.